What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here. Welcome to a special training we're doing today called your high school checklist for the 2024-2025 school year. Hopefully, everybody can see my screen right now. Let me know in the chat if you guys can see my screen live. For those who are joining here live on Zoom, I dropped the link to the Zoom right in the chat. For those accessing the replay for this call, it'll be somewhere down to somewhere on the replay page. You'll probably find access to it as well too. So here is the game plan. This is a special 60-minute call. I do have a hard stop at the top of the hour. So we'll go ahead and go until that top of the hour. Wow, we have a lot of people here. There. All right, cool. So if it's going to follow along, you guys can feel free to follow along there. So in today's session, right? In today's session, I'm trying to make the font. There you go. Right? All right. In this session, we're going to talk about a few different things. Number one, what task and milestones you, or if you're the parent, you or your child, your student should be focusing on this year. We're going to talk about step-by-step guide to ensure that you're prepared for the UC admissions process. We're going to talk about important dates and deadlines you can't afford to miss, and how to prioritize your time and efforts to make the most impact with this upcoming school year, right? And today, it's a special long training. We're going to talk about our last call offer before our upcoming price increase on September 1st, 2024. We've been saying this for the last few weeks. We've been sending emails about this for the last few weeks. This is pretty much the last call that we are doing. So throughout this training, if you guys would like to get the process started, if you haven't joined our team yet and you want to see if, hey, let's go ahead and book a 15-minute chat with our coaches, our advisors, you can definitely book that right over here for any new families that are ready to make that move started here. Again, if you're not convinced yet, feel free to stick around and we'll see if I can convince you throughout this training there. All right, if it's a very, very first time meeting, my name is Coach Tony. I'll be your host for this training right over here. My background actually served as a former UC Berkeley admissions reader, which meant when students applied to Berkeley, I was one of the people who said yes to students and said no to a lot more students there in the process. So I read over 20,000 applications. You start to see why the yes kids get a yes. You start to see why the no kids get a no. And kind of throughout these trainings, my goal is to kind of demystify the whole thing, crack the code for everyone, so you guys kind of understand. Again, if you guys want to help yourself in this process, right? I think a lot of people kind of gatekeep this information. That's kind of not with us. So our goal is to kind of share everything with you guys. And we are here live. So in the chat, if you guys can do me a favor, if it's your very first time joining us live, go ahead and drop a number 1 in the chat if it's your very, very first time tuning in. And if you're one of our veterans, you've been here a few times already or many, many times, you can drop a 2. Drop a 2 if you are one of our returners or veterans. And I think I invite our coaching families to join as well too. So I'm sure our coaching families have seen me at least once or twice as well too. We have a nice little mix of 1s and 2s here. Fantastic. Thank you for participating. We just crossed the 200 mark here on this live call. So again, on this call, feel free to drop questions in the Q&A. I am going to go fast. For those who don't know, I speak very, very fast. I'm gonna go really, really fast because I have lots of really good things to kind of share with you all. So feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A box. And I'm gonna ask you guys to participate. I might ask a few questions throughout the thing. Get your fingers ready because it's kind of, again, just like this number 1 and 2. It's fun talking. It's not fun talking to myself. So if you guys can participate there, we can definitely do that as well. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we want to do is talk about the 3 components, right, to the college admissions process. There's kind of 3 things that we tell families to focus on. Number 1 is your academics. Number 2 is your activities. Number 3 is going to be your applications itself. So we're going to start first with the application. We're going to skipping straight to the applications at the very, very end, right? So this section is going to apply a lot to our seniors specifically. And again, if you are not a senior, you definitely don't have to implement a lot of things we're going to talk about. However, treat this as an FYI, right? Meaning, hey, this is a in the future kind of thing. Let's get ready for it there, okay? And for seniors, listen up because this is just for you, right? Actually, really quick in the chat, I'm going to have you guys participate one more time. In the chat, you can drop your grade. Drop your grade in the chat. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, or all the sections. Because I gotta have a gauge so I know, okay, cool. We can speed through some certain sections. We can slow down some other sections there. We got a very nice mix today. I got a lot 9s, 10s, 12s, 11s. Wow, nice little mix. Thank you, everyone as well. So again, all the sections will probably be used the same there. Okay, so let's go start first. So the application is the most important section of the entire process, right? Because if you have heard of stories, or if you guys have seen families, right, that kids that have the best grades, they have the best activities, and they still get rejected. If you know anyone, feel free to drop a yes if you've seen or heard of that type of scenario before. And the reason why it's not because they're not good with academics or not good with their activities. Usually they really are, right? But it's because if you can't talk about your academics or activities effectively or not, you're not going to make the cut. So when it comes to seniors, right, there's 3 cycles that you guys will be applying to in this season. Number 1 is going to be your early action and early decision. Number 2 is going to be your UC and Cal State application. And last one is any of the regular or your rolling apps, right? For schools that do rolling applications there. So starting first with the early action schools. These schools, you essentially apply early and you find out to mid to late December, right? So that's the first batch of schools. The second one is early decision. You only apply to one early decision school. You apply to one. If you get in, you're legally obligated to attend. Both of these types of applications have deadlines in mid-October and early November. Keep in mind, if you're applying to the UCs, they do not have any early action or early decisions for either one of those. Okay, so if you are applying to the UCs or the Cal States, these apps are typically due on November 30th. But however, for the first time in like many years, they actually changed the deadlines up a little bit. These UCs and Cal State apps are going to be deadline for this upcoming year, 2025 families. It is due on December 2nd. Okay. With that, regular apps. So these are again not the UCs, the Cal States, or the early schools. These are the regular applications for any private or out of state colleges. These are typically due in December, January, and even February schools. There's also another type of app called rolling decisions, where these will continue to accept apps until they are full. So if they are full early, they will end early. If they are full a lot later, then you'll see these schools being open a lot later as well too. Okay, so that being said, we do not recommend applying at the deadlines. Usually every single year the systems crash, bad things happen, even like UCs, right? On the 30th it always breaks. The UCs always extend to like the 1st or 2nd every year. Don't count on that, please, for these schools. But if you like to copy kind of what our own coaching families do, this is our internal deadlines for our own families, right? And your first checklist for today is the college app internal deadlines. We recommend our students, and we recommend you guys, finish and be done with your early action, early decision schools by October 1st, right? You'll have your UCs and Cal States done by November 1st. And then by then, your regular enrolling should be done by December 1st. And again, the regular should be pretty easy because once you finish the early action, it's the same app. It's not a different app. So you can get the regular ones done really, really quick after that. So our students will be done by these dates and pretty much sending these these apps off to the colleges, usually a week or two after each of these internal deadlines there. Okay. That being said, before we jump into the academics and the activities, the other two components of the process, we are going to share some words of wisdom when it comes to college apps for you guys, right? Number one, right? The first thing we're going to talk about is all college apps are self-reported. What does that mean? That means the student is the one who enters in the personal information. The student is the one that enters in their classes that they take. They enter in their grades for the classes they take. They enter in their test scores, their activities. They enter their essays as well too. You would not be submitting the transcript. This is specifically for the UCs, right? Specifically until you get accepted and commit to that school. Keep in mind, if you're applying to a private school with the Common App, they will ask for a transcript earlier in the term, usually first semester. But if you're applying to UCs or Cal States, they will not ask for any transcripts. They are, again, assuming that your grades are accurate. So again, definitely double, triple, quadruple check to make sure your grades are correct, because they're going to assume it as true. If you put the wrong grade, so you actually got a B or a C and you wrote A, they're going to assume based on that A, that's your grade. And then let's say you get in, and later on in June, right after you graduate in June, you submit your transcript, but the transcript doesn't match up to what you said. That's a really big no-no. And then typically colleges have the right to rescind your letter of acceptance at that point. Again, a really, really awkward place to be in. Don't make that be you, right? Keep in mind, transcripts do cost money. It's not a free thing. That's why schools, again, for those who are applying early for Common App, keep that cost in mind. And for a lot of the other like college costs in general, this is one of the costs that you'll be sending off officially for each of the schools that you guys are entering here. Okay. Next one, number two, UCs and Cal States will not see senior grades. Common App regulars will ask for first semester college grades, first semester grades in general, right? The colleges will assume that you did well in your classes. So again, if you don't put your grades, they'll just assume, hey, you did this class, you did well there, right? And we'll talk more about senior or what's important in academics for senior year specifically. Okay. Next one is your goal is to fill up all of the activities if you can, right? So first off, the first type of app, the Cal States, they do not ask for any activities. They actually just say a checkbox, say, did you do activities? Hopefully you click yes, right, to that box there. The Common App, the app that you use to apply to privates, out of states, 1,000 potential schools. There's 10 slots for activities, and order does matter, right? You put your most important, impactful one at the very top. As the first one, you kind of work your way downwards there. The UC app has 20 activity slots. Order does not matter. The system's going to rearrange your activities anyways based on whatever order you do, just to make it easy for the reader to read on the back end. If you have more than 10 Common App or more than 20 activities for the UC app, you can always add these at the end, and we encourage students to add them at the end in the additional comments. So after you finish like the essays, there's a section under that called additional comments. You would share all your extra activities here. They will read it and they will consider it as well. Tip number 4 here, no links, right? A lot of people put this all the time, no links. The app should also tell you don't put links on the app. And realistically, right, readers have a handful of minutes to read your app itself. They are not going to click into a link and add more things to the complicated mess of admissions. Plus, for the UC app, because it's formatted a certain way, if I can't even click on a link. I have to manually type out the link if I want to see it. Again, do you think I did all that extra work as a reader? Spoilers, no, I did not do those extra work as a readers there. Right? Next one, your activity blurbs, right? You want to keep these short, right? So these are the descriptions that you have at the bottom of each of the activities. Pro tip, do not use full sentences, use phrases. So example, the structure here is use the verb, context, metrics. For example, right? Option A, I'm gonna have you guys participate in a little bit, right? So get ready to type in that chat. Example, let's say you want to talk about volunteering at a local food bank. Option A, you write, I volunteered at the local food bank every weekend where I helped pack food boxes and distribute them to families in need. Option B, you say, volunteered weekly at local food bank, period. Packed 100 plus food boxes, period. Distributed to 50 families, period. Which one in the chat, A or B, do you think readers are looking for? Is it A or B that readers are kind of trained to look for? We prefer. What does readers prefer in the activity blurb itself, right? All right. Oh, we got some mixed answer. We got some A's, we got a lot of B's, and some no preference. No, there is a right preference for this one. B is what we are looking for. Again, the first one is extra words. You're wasting characters, right? You only have a few, again, 250 to 350 characters to write on this section. And if you're adding extra things, again, it's not bad. It's just we call it a missed opportunity. You could have squeezed in more information for the readers there. Okay. Next section. Now tip number 6. The UC essays are not essays. We tell our students, again, every single weekend we've been doing these college app intensive events for our seniors. This past week we were at Long Beach. This upcoming weekend we're hosting our 2-day weekend at UCLA campus. It's gonna be a super fun weekend. I think it's our biggest weekend out of all the other weekends too. We say it's every single weekend for our students, right? Number 1, do not use a hook. Number 2, do not use an intro paragraph. Number 3, do not use a conclusion or summarize, right? Some other things that I tell students I don't like rhetorical questions. I also don't like quotes. A lot of people always use quotes. People always ask rhetorical questions as well too. No to all of those, right? What you want to do instead, treat these as interview responses, right? Would you literally read out loud what you wrote, and would it sound normal? A lot of people, when you read out loud, it doesn't sound right as an interview response. It sounds good on paper, but right, it doesn't sound good on paper, until that's a no-no for the UCSs. However, side note real quick, right? The Common App does allow, because of the increased word count, it does allow for more of an intro and conclusion. However, not the intro conclusion you write in high school essays. Instead, your intro is just to get the readers to want to read more, and your conclusion is just an impact statement or a few statements to drive the message home. That's it. Is again, our goal isn't to tell in this prompt I'm going to talk about no. You get straight to the prompt itself, right? And tip number 7, be less cute, focus on content, right? So a lot of families always come to us and say, a lot of students, I'm not parents, but students are like, hey, Coach Tony, I saw this really cool essay about milk. Or I saw this really cool, there's a really famous essay on like Costco and all these kind of cute things that we see, right? No, right? The thing is, most of it works for that student. It worked for a particular person with a particular thing. Most of us, reality-wise, we're not that special. So when it comes to apps, it's really, really hard to get the humor or the creativity correct. Instead, we tell students, keep it boring, right? Keep it boring. What you want to do is you want to tell, not show. Again, in school, they teach you to show, not tell. Flip it. You want to tell, not show. The goal of these prompts, and not essays, the prompts, is to have the reader understand you. And the best way to say this, in Coach Art's words, this is one of a new Coach Artism, right? Slap him in the face. You want to slap him right in the face with what you want to tell him. Don't try to have the reader understand or think what you're trying to say. Just tell them exactly what you want to tell them. Again, get ready for another fun activity for you guys, right? So let's say the prompt is about your passion for cooking, right? So option A, a student in their essays, and this should be a lot longer, but I'm just cutting it down for example purposes. Option A, when I step into the kitchen, a world of possibility opens up. The sizzle of onions, the smell of fresh herbs, and the vibrant colors of vegetables come together to create a dish that's more than just food. It's an experience. My friends and family often gather around, waiting anticipation for that first bite, and I can't help but smile knowing that I've brought people together. That is option number A. Here's option number B, right? Option number B. Option B. Cooking is my way of breaking free from life structures, offering a creative outlet and a much needed stress reliever. I experiment with new recipes weekly to push boundaries and explore favorites, a contrast to the routines of daily life. Cooking allows me to create something entirely my own, something I can point to and say, this is mine. All right. For a UC PIQ, right? Which of these are preferred from a reader's point of view, right? A or B, right? A or B, right? All right. This one is a little more like straightforward, I think, with the answer so far. Thank you, by the way. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this part. We have over 100, almost 200, almost 300 people here. We're like 10 people away from 300. B is what the readers look for. Again, could A work? Sure, but this is more geared towards a common app, right? This is what you start seeing the nuances now, right? A is usually better, right, for like the common app. You have more words to can explain. B, straightforward, very, very straightforward. And again, if someone talked to me and someone asked me the question, I would say this out loud. The first one sounds kind of funny. The first one sounds a little bit more funny as well too. Okay, so with that. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? So with that, here is your second list of checklists as well. So here's the app reminds, again, recap. All the college apps are self-reported. UCs will not see senior grades. However, Common App will ask for first semester grades through a mid-year report, which is sent out by counselors late January, early February. Fill up all of the activities if possible. No links. Keep activity blurbs short. UC essays are not essays. Be less cute. Focus on content. Okay. That is the activity. So again, before we jump into academics as well too, again, if anyone is interested, any of our new friends and families are interested in scheduling that free 15-minute assessment with our advisor, you can definitely poke here, tap here, and do that. Again, there's probably a little perk why you guys want to do that. I'll explain later on if you guys stick around a little longer, right? So now, next section, we're moving on to academics, right? Moving out onto academics. So this is relevant to all the grades. I see people here earlier. All the grades are represented in this section right over here. So again, before we go too deep into more tactical things, a few high level things to understand. Number one, probably the most important thing when it comes to academics, do not use GPA to make decisions, right? Use different colors. So, it's very uber important, right? The UCs use something called a UC GPA, which means they look at your grades from summer after 9th to summer after 11th, right? They count up to 4 honors points in 10th grade, up to 8 honors points in 11th grade, with a total up to 8 in 10th and 11th. Again, it's kind of confusing to know, but like hypothetically, if you took 0 honors in 10th grade, you can earn all the 8 points in junior. That's what that means, hypothetically. But most students are kind of maxing out. So it's like 4-4 or 2-6, 0-8. Those are the combinations I usually see, right? Mistake number one I see a lot, right, is because only 2 classes count, because again, each honor points means honor semester. So 4 points is 2 classes, right? Keep that in mind, right? So people say, oh, because only 2 classes count, I should only take 2 honors classes in 10th and 2 honors classes and 11th. No, don't do that, right? Next mistake we see a lot, right? Someone says, right? Someone says, because of this, what you mentioned, Coach Tony, 9th and 12th grades doesn't matter then. No, that is not what we mean as well, too. This is what when people say, don't look at GPA as a thing, because that's going to be bad behaviors. Instead, right? Everyone always asks about how to raise my GPA. Does this count towards my GPA? Tons of GPA things, right? So, question for you guys. Again, this is not a typo. This is a in your head thought question, right? In your head, right? How many students do you know with a high GPA? I would classify high over a 4.5, right? And still got rejected, right? Over 4.5 and still get rejected. So when it comes, and the answer is by, I'm sure you guys know a lot of people, is kind of the rhetorical answer there, right? So when it comes to academics, GPA should not be the main or even first metric you should look at. Instead, for us, we tell families, look at your classes and grade trends, right? So talking first about classes, right? So if you're applying to the UC schools, there's something called the A through G requirements. These are the general education courses that you need to be eligible to apply to a UC school. Here are the A through G requirements, right? A, 2 years of history, usually world history, US history. B, English, 4 years. Take English every single year. C, math, 3 years required, 4 years recommended. Math begins at algebra 1. You need to take geometry. So by the time you finish algebra 2, hypothetically, you are done with your math requirement. That 4th year, that extra class after algebra 2, that is your recommended year. D is science, 2 years required, 3 years recommended. Again, it's to be one of those biological science, physical science, biochem, physics, any other combination of those as well. LOTE, language other than English, 2 years required, 3 years recommended. It has to be a sequential language, meaning you can't do Spanish 1, French 1. That's still only 1 year. You need like Spanish 1, Spanish 2, French 1, French 2, right? Next one, visual performing arts, 1 year, and a college prep elective 1 year. It has to be recognized as a college prep elective by your school, or if you do a recommended year, that also counts as the extra year here, right? When it comes to your, you see there's like recommended and there's required. You see there's 15 years of required classes. However, we always recommend going for the recommended over the required, right? The minimum doesn't mean you're gonna get in, especially in today's environment. Everyone is uber competitive. You don't want to do just the minimum there. So on this note, let's talk about special classes as well, right? So if you are certain majors, right, colleges are looking for certain things, right? I do not have all the hundreds and hundreds of majors memorized to know exactly it. So to make life a little easier for us, we kind of broke it down. There's kind of 3 pathways, right? So pretty much any major you can think of falls under one of these 3. And I can't think of anything else that doesn't fall under one of these 3. Pathway number 1, engineering, computer science. Anyone in the chat, drop a number 1 if your child is under the engineering or computer science kind of pathway or major, right? Number 2 is STEM or business. If you're like a science, bio, physics, math, or business, drop a number 2 over here. And if you're everything else, if you're anything else, history, literature, journalism, poli-sci, sociology, psychology is for fall in STEM, right? All these other fields as well too, right? You are number 3. Also, we got a nice little mix here. We got 1s, 2s, and 3s here represented, right? So if, as a general rule of thumb, right, the feedback can be applied to pretty much every single major in each pathway. So a lot of the number 1s here, you guys are probably some combination of engineering and computer science, right? So again, here's the example. If you're aerospace, mechanical, civil, computer science, data science, the same recommendation would apply to most of them on this field. So, and where it matters a lot is going to be your math section specifically. So if you are in the everything else major, right, we recommend going the highest that you can. Again, typically these students don't like math so much. So again, at the minimum, try to get to the pre-calculus, the stats. Again, this is the extra recommended year after algebra 2. What's the next year after that? Pre-calc stats is kind of what we see. Again, this is all relative based on major. A lot of caveats here, but again, this is general rules of thumbs for everyone to think about here. For anyone who's a STEM and business, you should try to aim to finish Calculus 2 or the equivalent Calculus BC at the high school. And for those who are unsure of AB, BC, because everybody has those questions, AB is equivalent to Calculus 1. BC is actually Calculus 1 plus Calculus 2. So people who are in BC at your school, they're speed running through Calculus 1, then they're slowing down and learning Calculus 2 concepts. So again, a lot of people like, do I need to take AB before BC? Technically, no, because you're going to relearn it. But if you do take AB, you'll find out that your BC class, the first like 4 or 5 months, is review. You just learned everything you did in a very like kind of faster format, but it'll feel like review versus if you jump straight to BC, everything will be just moving really fast, essentially for you there. Okay. So if anyone here is an engineer computer science, right, this is where you shine in the math area. This is just speaking for our own coaching families. Families who are in the engineering computer science pathway, we typically would like our students to finish BC by the end of their junior year, right? That way you can take the multivariable calculus, linear algebra, differential equations in senior year above. So for example, let's say you finish BC as a junior, that summer between 11 and 12, you can take multivariable. In the fall, and the reason why we say by summer, fall, spring is these are going to be college courses. These classes typically are not offered at the high schools. There are schools that do, right? Because we have a few kids who their school does offer it, but for a lot of families, they don't. So you go off to the community college, the 4-year college, to take these courses here, the multivariable, linear algebra, differentials, right? And if you are under the physics pathway, we do encourage students to look into the physics classes or engineering physics class as well too. If your school offers it, some schools don't offer as much physics class available. You can look into outside courses and online schools like UC Scout, BYU, Silicon Valley High School. And so again, really quick, let's talk about test scores, right? Because that's probably a big one. So again, for UCs and Cal States, they are test blind. If you're applying to any of the UCs, keep in mind that you do not and you should not be applying to any of the ACT or SAT scores for these here, right? However, we know a lot of our families are going to be applying to colleges outside of the UCs as well. And again, by the way, the people's like, oh, you guys just do UCs. The advice works for every single college. It's not just a UC recommendation. It applies to all schools there, right? So a few recommendations for this list of the test optional and test required schools. If you are applying to a test required or test optional schools, we are recommending that you score within the 7th percentile of the average of that school. If you Google, again, this is, by the way, is context from pre-pandemic, right? So this is, again, pre-pandemic, schools were required. This is the advice we told those students back here. This is the first year schools are going back to required. So we're kind of bringing back our recommendations from before. We'll find out with more clarity by the end of this year if this is still spot on. But this is what we've been sharing a few years ago. And this is what we've been doing recently with our current students here too, right? So most students would want to take their SAT or ACT in the spring of their junior year. Again, unless you do really, really well, earlier in high school. So let's talk about that for a little bit, right? So when we find that spring of junior year is when you have the most skill and the skill set, the knowledge and skill set, it kind of comes nicely there. But even before that, there is something called the PSAT. Think of it as the practice SAT. It doesn't really mean that, but think of it as that way. You're going to take this test twice. First in the October of your sophomore year. This test means nothing. No matter how good of a score, bad of a score you get, it means absolutely nothing, right? If you get a perfect score, virtual high five from Coach Tony to you, right? We don't recommend our students study for this initial PSAT. Can you study? You can. What's the benefit of getting a perfect score? Absolutely nothing. So this test, rather treat it as a gauge of what you should be doing next. So if you are already scoring perfectly, again, you didn't study, you're already scoring near perfect, then we'll say, let's sign up for the real SAT and get this test done, right? If you're scoring close to national merit. So what is national merit? If you score within the top percentile of the test, you kind of see historically here, right? It's top 3-ish percent. If you're the top 3% of the scores, right? And this is, by the way, different per state. So everyone's state's a little different. If you're in California, we have one of the highest highest score cutoffs as well, right? So if you are within 10 to 20 points off, you may want to study for your junior year PSD, because if you get a good enough score, national merit is a potential full ride, which I think parents will be super happy if you get that, right? If you're not even in a ballpark, not even in the zone, don't even plan to take the SAT there. Keep in mind, right? That's the recommendation. Keep in mind, our goal is to help families navigate the admissions process in the most efficient and effective route possible. So if you want to ignore us and study, you can. I'm not going to say don't do it, right? However, we always think about, would it be worth the payoff of taking the test itself? And for us, it's probably not, right? That's why we recommend some certain steps and not others. Every single step in admissions does play a role, but some areas do matter more than others. So our goal is to help you navigate and work smart through the process itself. So again, after sophomore year, you'll take the exam one more time in junior year itself. After the PSAT in junior year, then you focus on studying the SAT, ACT, if it applies to you based on your colleges there. So again, when it comes to the SAT, ACT, we can talk about how to prepare really, by the way, you guys, should I skip this, or can I talk about it for like 2 minutes? If no one's doing the SAT, we can skip it. But really quick, let me know. Yes, if we can talk about it for 2 minutes, drop a yes. If not, we can skip to the next section right away. All right. People say yes. All right. We got a yeses and skips. Sorry to the one skip. We have a lot of yeses, right? So really, really quick. Our head strategist David shared that this upcoming year, over 40 colleges are going to be test required, and he predicts next year 100 colleges will be test required. Again, assuming the Ivies are gonna kind of claim that it helped them out a lot. So we do recommend all students start with a practice test. Follow the time constraints of each section of the test. If you're doing it at home, we also do recommend, if you go to a testing center or test prep center, they can have you do a diagnostic with an actual proctor as well too. Once you have that score, you can actually work backwards to figure out how long you need to study. On average, we see our students increase their scores by 100 points every month, with a natural plateau of 200-300 points as a maximum increase that we typically see. So based on that math, you should plan to study between 1 to 3 months. Again, can you study more? You can, but again, it's not going to be a huge payoff for you there, right? So a lot of our students do start taking a test between January and March of their junior year itself. They gives them enough time to study and also do a retake if they do. Keep in mind, most students do a retake here. Statistically, you will see your biggest score increase from your first test to the second test. Then again, you take the retake April to June itself, okay? So again, we don't recommend going for a third testing unless you're like the student really messed up or something happened second testing. With third one, you won't have that big of an increase. The opportunity cost isn't there to take again the third thing. Again, in the game of college admissions, there's tons of other things that are more important to move than just this right over here. So in terms of the timeline, right? Testing schedule. PST, you take it 10th grade, don't study. You take the 11th grade PSAT. If you're close to national merit, study. If you're not close, don't study. After that, you determine, do I take the ST or AST? Is it test required? If so, do it. If it's optional over 70%, do it as well too, right? Next one. Then you take a practice for the baseline. Every month is around 100-point increase. You plan out for up to maximum 3 months of studying. Again, can you do more? You can. We don't recommend it. Take your ST, AC in the winter, spring, 11th grade. Then retake it one more time in spring, summer, and then you should be good to go there. Okay. Really quick before we talk about activities, really quick about rigor, right? Rigor is really important. This is taking the most competitive courses that you have at your school. We do recommend AP, IB, college level courses. Not all honors classes do count as honors, especially with the out of states and everything else. Don't worry about that. The reality why rigor is really important. Everyone wants to go to schools like a UCLA or UC Berkeley, but no one really knows what that means, right? So this past year, I pulled up the data, right? Over 740 students from UCLA, over 600 students from UC Berkeley got kicked out, dropped out, one of those two combinations, right? So that's over 14 100 students, right? Something colleges, counselors don't tell you and other people don't tell you, college is very hard. And these colleges are super duper hard. So when students tell me, Coach Tony, I want to go to a top school, but I'm kind of scared to take an AP class, right? We always have to talk to the student because it's probably a different thing they want to do, right? Readers want to know that you are going to be okay, right? We want you to be part of that group that does graduate, not the group that drops out. What's the point of getting in to get dropped out or kicked out a few years later there? And we know that your high school is not as hard as a UCLA or UC Berkeley. So what readers are looking for is, given what you could have done, did you maximize everything and still do well? So that's why we tell our students to maximize rigor on their schedule. You want to demonstrate that we're doing the most we can given what we can. So again, a lot of people always complain. I think I saw a question come in the chat as well too, but my school doesn't offer X, Y, and Z classes. Technically, they don't have to. You can always do outside courses such as UC Scout, BYU, Silicon Valley. Look into local community college for dual enrollment stuff. Again, if even though your high school doesn't have resources, doesn't mean you can't be resourceful. Think about that, right? And think about it. That's a great skill to share to the colleges, all right? Who would a UCLA or Berkeley accept a student who accepts their fate, or someone who challenges their situation and creates their own solution, right? So here's your little timeline that we recommend for you guys to follow in the school year itself. In July, right, you guys should be doing a readiness check, making sure, hey, did we finish our AP pre-homework scheduling for this year? Is it good to go? In August, right, which is this month, for those of you who know, right? Dual enrollment classes should be already booked. You should be preparing for the school year. If you know you need tutoring, sign up for tutoring. If you know you need certain things in place, make sure those things are in place. September, make sure you start strong, right? And check if your coursework is too easy, right? And you can bump it up a level if you know that right away too. October, we call it the midterm check, making sure you are still doing well. Again, people like, oh my God, last minute, I'm going to get a C. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. How you should have known early. Your teacher doesn't go from A to C, right? You can tell where your grade's going. So midterm check early. Don't wait till finals to do anything. Wait, check earlier there. November, locking your spring dual enrollment classes and your finals check. Getting ready for finals here. December, finish finals strong. January, start strong. Same thing. Check your high school coursework. Can you bump it up if needed? Midterm check in March. April, lock in your summer dual enrollment classes. Final check. In May, you have your AP exam, your AIB exams as well, and you're confirming next year's schedule. Summer classes, right? We do recommend, by the way, rising seniors do take classes their last summer, okay? Because that will be the last set of grades that UCs will see. Right? For the students applying to private schools, they will see your first semester senior year grades too. But at least for UCs, that's the last grades they'll see. So again, finish strong with 2 extra classes here. Again, anyone, this is a sponsored message from our advisor. If you guys want to book a call with our team, right there. Right? But moving on to the last section, let's talk about activities. Right? Let's talk about activities. There we go. Activities there, right? So college is looking for 3 things when it comes to activities. Number 1, commitment. Right? How long have you been doing? How much time you've been investing in it? 2 is progression. Has a student worked towards a particular skill or activity? Have you demonstrated growth over time? Number 3 is leadership, right? How have you demonstrated leadership? What roles have you had? So when it comes to these 3 things, we tell our students to identify and start with 2 things. Number 1 is student interest. Number 2 is the hours per week. So starting first with student interest, right? There's nothing, now repeat, nothing that a college is looking for in any particular student. We've sent thousands of students now to colleges. There's nothing that any of our students have in common. They're all unique. They're all different in different things. Colleges just want to learn how the students spent their time. So outside of the grades, outside of the classes, right? how is the student spending their time? Are you spending it on sports? Are you doing clubs? Are you volunteering? Are you working? There is no right or wrong thing here. We recommend students follow one of two paths when picking their activities. Number one, do things you enjoy, do things you like, right? And number two, do things you think you might like, do things you think you might enjoy. This means if your child likes playing sports, let them play sports. If they like volunteering, let them volunteer. If they think they might enjoy working, let them work at the company. There's no wrong as long, again, as the student does one of those two things here. So let's play it out, right? Let's say your child does something they enjoy. Do you think your child's going to spend more time or less time doing something they like to do, right? And again, if it's hard for you to think about that, think about your favorite thing to do. If I told you to do more things of your favorite things, is that going to be more enjoyable or less enjoyable for you, right? You want to do it more. In fact, I bet you your student's gonna lose track of time and spend more time doing these things, which is the unintentional consequence that I'm hoping that happens, right? Because that brings us to the second thing of the activity section is the hours per week. This is something the colleges will ask for, right? So again, starting to think about your activities in this lens could be very beneficial. So far up to right now, we've done this nonstop. We've always worked with the end in mind. A lot of families, they take random classes, they do random things that they have no clue how to share this on the actual app itself. I try to stick in the word ludicrous to make things even more ludicrous, right? Families focus on areas of the app that is not as important as others. Your academics is not the most important section of the app, right? It's actually the least important factor. It's not saying it's not important, right? It's just the least important here. Which means, so when families tell me that their student spends all their times in classes, I worry like a little bit because you're spending the most amount of time in the area that matters the least. So where should we be spending a lot of our time? We should be spending it on our activities. So let's put in some metrics so everything makes more sense. Keep in mind, these are our internal numbers that we tell our coaching families. And again, our families tend to do quite well in the process. So I recommend copying it if you guys can. If you're aiming for any of the UC schools, we like to have our students aim for 20 to 30 or more hours of activities per week. If you're aiming for schools like a top UC or top private, right? UC, Berkeley, Stanford, those schools, 25, 30 plus hours of activities per week. If you're aiming for the Ivies, the MITs, the Caltechs of the world, 30 to 40 plus hours of activities there. And, right, remember, how you spend these hours does not matter as long as, number one, does my student enjoy this activity, or is my student engaged in something they think they might do? Because at the end of the day, what you do does not matter, right? Another way to think about this is if they are playing a sport right now, so if anyone's child is playing a sport, are they going to still play that sport in college, right? For some, maybe. For some, maybe not, right? If they're in a particular club, are they still going to be part of that club in college? And for some, maybe. For some, maybe not. And if they're doing an internship or research, are they going to be doing that again in college? Again, the answer is maybe, maybe not. And the realistic answer for most of you guys, the answer is no, right? So so that's why telling readers what you do doesn't give readers a clear picture of who you are. Instead, right, you want to tell the readers, who are you? How did these activities make you who you are today? And why did you do these things? Because, right? Why, how, who does not change often, right? Why should say often? Sure, you got taller, older, wiser, smarter, but when you think about to yourself, you're pretty much the same person. Who you are doesn't really change, right? If you think of, again, parents with your students now, right? You're probably in what, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. If you think back to them a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? Again, they're probably a little taller, a little smarter, a little wiser, a little more athletic, a little more doing things, more trophies, but they're still the same person deep down when we remove all the stuff, right? They're still the same person. And that's what the readers want, is the who you are here, right? And speaking of who you are, right, I want to open a little bit of who I am. As someone who wants to help our families win big, that's why we have these groups set up. You guys are probably joining us right now from the UC Admission Secrets Facebook group. We have an Ivy League Admission Secrets Facebook group. Our goal is to share all of the information so you guys can take the not. By the way, really quick, are you guys enjoying this training so far? Drop a yes in the chat if you guys are enjoying this so far as well. So again, my goal is to give everything out to you guys. You guys can go ahead and take it, help your kids out with this journey. I would also say I am someone who is quite a giver, to the point that I overgive too much as well. So our team keeps getting mad at me for giving away too much stuff. So apologies to our team there. But can I just give you some freebies for attending this session? Drop a yes in the chat if that's okay, if you have some freebies. So if I can give you guys some free stuff as well. So again, if you're going to stick around a little bit, I'll drop it after we finish up. I have a few more pages left and we are good to go. And lastly, right, I am going to put on my sales cap on. I gave you guys 50 minutes of give. I'm going to do a little sales cap right now. We are doing a price increase in our coaching programs on September 1st by $2,000. We actually hired a CFO. He got mad at me for giving away too much inside our program. So we need to increase our rate. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pitch you for the next 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes, right? I'm going to pitch you and invite new families who are interested in working with our team. I'm going to call it the last chance offer. And to make it juicy, I'm going to throw away some extra freebies for those of you who want to jump in as well. So permission, 5 minutes. Can I share you guys the offer really quick? Drop a yes if I can give me 5. I try to do 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes today. 5 minutes. Yes. All right. Perfect. Thank you. Right. So let's go ahead and jump in to that really quick. Invitation to join, right? So we are not your typical college admissions coaching program. You actually cannot buy your way into our program. So if you are interested, again, like I mentioned, keep dropping this link in the chat. You can book a free 15-minute assessment with our team. On this call, our team will kind of ask where you guys are at and give you some recommendations, right? By the end of the call, 2 things happen. One, our team feels that there might be other people or other resources that might help you guys more than us. We can point you guys in that direction. Or number 2, we think we can help you guys win. We'll say, hey, do you want to book a second call with us? We can tell you what programs would be a great fit for your family here, right? And if you say yes, we'll send a second call. We'll talk to you there. But the first call, complimentary, 15 minutes, free. We're going to help give a little more for you guys. So, and speaking of budgets, we do not charge by the hour. We don't do a la carte pricing. We don't even charge year by year, because if we're being real, if we charge year by year, most families will wait to senior year and start. However, families who start in senior years are usually the most behind out of everyone. So for families who are 9th and 10th or 11th graders, you have the extra runway to get on track or stay on track. That's why our programs are comprehensive pricing. So you pay the same, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, you pay the same. The sooner you start, just the more you get out of us. So once you're in our program, we'll also give you a team to work with. You have a strategist and accountability coach. The strategists will all go ahead and help you plan out from now until graduation. We'll help you with your college list, your major, your careers, your schedule, academics, testing schedule, activity schedules, milestones. These are all custom made. Nothing's a cookie cutter plan for you. And your accountability coach ensures that you do not fall behind as well too. So we do weekly check-ins on a weekly basis. These are quick little forms to make sure you guys are good to go, or kind of where you guys are at. And we do monthly check-in calls to ensure that you are on the right track with the roadmap itself. When it comes to coaching, you don't have to wait a week or a month. We do daily coaching every single day. You can jump on a live office hour Zoom call, talk to our team, send us a quick message on chat support. Our team will get back to you as well too. In addition to your strategies and accountability, we give you access to all of our coaches with different specialties as well too. We have some folks who are specializing in fields, engineering, pre-med. We have people who are good in different aspects, personal projects, passion projects, essay editings. Our coaches are available daily, 12 to 8. So you guys can go ahead and so it's perfect for you guys to schedule there, right? Our program is designed, we call it Students First, Parents Welcome, which means when you guys enroll, our team takes over the interactions with your students. So hypothetically, parents, if you're too busy to be involved or like to be hands-off, this is perfect for you. But the parents welcome component means that parents have access to everything the student does as well. So you parents, you can watch all the calls from the student, you can access all their notes as well too. You can join the office hours or support them as well too. And we have a massive list of tons of things that we do. You can kind of see that we do with our families there. If you guys do decide to get started, we have our two most common programs. One is Advantage of the group coaching model, small groups up to 3 students in the monthly check-ins. Blueprints, the other model, group plus one-on-one coaching here as well too. So your monthly check-ins, a one-on-one call, and you get access to a private room here. If you guys do want to get started, currently the programs range from 4K to 10K for the entirety of the program, not a per year, that's the total. And after our price increase, it will bump up to 6 to 12K as well. So here is your last chance offer. If you guys want to book your 15-minute assessment call, again, no sales yet, right? And show up. Our team is going to go include you 3 bonuses in addition, right? Number 1, we're going to do a private training next Saturday on the 31st. I'm doing a training. You're going to watch Coach Tony open up a brand new application. I'm going to do the entire UC app in front of you to show you can finish the whole thing if you know what you're doing in less than 4 hours. So I'm gonna do that next Saturday, I mean, live to the people who book and show up to their call. If you guys want to do test prep, we partner with a company called Magoosh. They are great. I can save you guys $30. So it's only $99 there. You guys can go get access to that here. I used to work there. I used to be their tutor and became their head of high school. So I know them really, really well. And I've been talking about this. You guys have probably heard of passion projects, personal projects. We do this special thing where I help our students start their personal project and give them feedback the entire way. We're reopening up the doors in September, this time to the public. So if you guys would like to join me on this one directly, what we got to do is book your 15-minute chat with our team. Ask the advisor you talk to, hey, can I get the bonuses? They're going to give you the special link to redeem all of these there. So again, if anyone is interested in booking that free 15-minute chat, I just dropped it in the chat down below. Again, if you don't sign up for the program, you can still get the bonuses as well. And coaching families who are here, you guys will get automatic access to the 4-hour training, and you guys will get first dibs on the personal project incubator. I'll share more information on my office hours this upcoming Thursday. All right, awesome. I did it in time. It was like 6 minutes. I apologize for going a little over. So there's 2 questions really quick. If you guys want to go ahead and book that call, I am going to close this room in 2 minutes. So go ahead and tap it now. For list of activities, my daughter is a National Charity League and volunteers handful of event-driven organizations. Does she list one collective volunteer, list them separately? You can do them separately if you want, right? Each one, again, both work. Either one big one of everything or separately. I recommend try to fill up as much as you can there, okay? If your 11th grade student is STEM but can't get into A, B, and BC, what do you recommend? Is STEM can't get into BC and AB now? There's always ways, right? Again, if you're in AB now, you can definitely take BC next year, or the community college route can help with that as well too. Can the 4K be split payment, one payment? We have financing options, so feel free to, again, talk 15-minute call first. We'll see if we can help you guys, and on that call, second call, we'll talk more about the programs in more detail, okay? Awesome. I'm going to shut down this room in 30 seconds as well. I think I ran through all the questions as well too. We are good to go there. So if you guys want to go ahead and book that link, what if I'm doing less activities for a longer period of time? That's awesome. Go ahead and share that. Again, there's other things too, right? If you have hobbies count as activities. Responsibilities, those count as activities. Commute times to activities, that counts as well too. So again, it's trying to hit that 20 plus hours per week is what we want to see for students. Okay. All right, I'm going to shut down the room in 5 seconds. If you guys want to go ahead and click the link I'm dropping in the chat, then so in case we close the room, you guys are still good to go. Tutoring 2, if you are the tutor, if you're tutoring, you can share it, but again, it may not play too big of a role, that one. But if you are tutor, the answer is yes. Okay. All right, I'm going to shut down the room. If you guys want to go ahead and book that 15 minutes, go ahead and tap that, book that. Super, super excited to chat with you guys very soon. Thank you for tuning in the entire hour. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.